I followed very much in my family's footsteps of suffering from alcoholism, which took my father at a young age, my grandfather, and several other family members. But I probably suffered from the disease way worse than they did. I wore a mask. I wore Brooks Brothers suits. I hid behind those jobs.
Welcome back to season 2 of The Shield. This is episode 1. We're so excited to be kicking things off. We took a little bit of a break and didn't feel like we were gone that long, but here we are. The Shield is a podcast where we talk about kind of the intersection of mental health and substance use on all facets of life, and at the same time, we can also do our best to highlight some really amazing things that are happening in and around Birmingham. Because when I moved here about a year and a half ago, I had no idea just how strong the Birmingham community was. And so it's really neat to be able to shine a light on all of the things that are happening. We also, very cool, we now have a sponsor. So the Children's Trust Fund of Alabama, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit, is the official sponsor of this. And so it allows us to do the thing. And it's very exciting. So first guest, season 2, we're going big. We're going with somebody that I don't even think needs me to ask questions because I feel like you can just basically do this whole thing. And that is Frank Long, the development director with the Lovelady Center. Welcome, Frank.
Thanks so much for having me, Nicole.
I feel like I could sit and listen to you talk about Lovelady for hours. Oh, wait, I have. We've taken a tour of the Lovelady Center. I've been through some of your presentations that you've had at the Children's Trust Fund Conference. The Lovelady Center is, I would say it's a hidden gem, but people know about it. I mean, it's kind of an institution.
It is and it isn't. I mean, unfortunately, we're still the best kept secret in Birmingham.
No, we are.
I mean, everybody's heard of us.
Yeah.
Sadly, half of Birmingham still thinks we're a thrift store.
That's right.
And isn't really sure where we are or exactly, what all we do.
Yeah. When our team took a tour this summer because we try to do that often just to kind of get a better understanding of who we're referring to and the ecosystem. And you had offered for us to take a tour for a long time. And so we were finally able to take you up on it. I was shocked at how big you all are and how many moving parts you have. And so we're going to talk about all of those. There's a couple of things that I just really think are just dynamite. But correct me if I'm wrong, aren't you a politician by trade?
So, my family, I kind of grew up in that sport, I guess you could call it.
The sport of politics.
In Montgomery, just in and around the State House. In fact, I've been going in and out of that building since I was 3 years old.
Whoa.
My brother still works down there. My father worked for a couple governors, 14 years. After that, I worked in the same office for the same gentleman he had worked for. But I can tell you, in the fundraising world, fundraising for a Christian ministry is a lot more fun than fundraising for politicians, even though I worked for some great people.
Oh, sure.
Who I'm still very much friends with to this day. But yeah, it does feel right at home when I'm down there in Montgomery.
What led you to Lovelady? Because, I mean, some people would say that is quite a shift from going to the political world, fundraising, navigating, how to be diplomatic, what rooms you can, to now working at like a quote unquote rehab center. Like, how do you get there?
Yeah. Yeah, great question. So if I'd met you 10 years ago, it would be real important that you knew which governor I worked for, which mayor I worked for, because, Nicole, I was afraid if you knew the real me, you wouldn't like me. And that's because I followed very much in my family's footsteps of suffering from alcoholism, which took my father at a young age, my grandfather, and several other family members. But I probably suffered from the disease way worse than they did.
Really?
Many years of severe drug addiction. And, I wore a mask. I wore the Brooks Brothers suits. I hid behind those jobs. But finally, things got so dark that I cried out to a God I wasn't even sure I believed in. I said, God, if you're real, please show me. And that was a little over 7 years ago. And boy, did he show up in a major way. I started sponsoring men. I got heavily involved in 12-step recovery, which I'm still passionate about because it led me to a relationship with God and ultimately into a relationship with Jesus, who I recognize as my Lord and Savior. And, today I know that it's his grace and mercy is the reason I'm sober. I was working. You mentioned a mutual friend earlier that owns a freight brokerage firm.
Yes.
A lot of people in the recovery space in Birmingham work in freight firms.
I have learned this. Yes.
And I think that was taking taking after his lead. Tim Cross is who I'm speaking of, who was a long time board member here. And, I told myself, I'm never getting into freight, right?
I did not. I'm like learning this in real time. I did not know this about you, Frank. Okay. You said I'm never getting into freight.
Never getting into freight because, I would listen to some of those guys talk, and some of them rubbed me the wrong way, and I don't know. I guess I had this attitude of holier than thou, better than that job. I'm educated. I know what I'm good at. Well, a little over 5 years ago, I'd gotten in some legal trouble, and I was kind of starting my life back over. And I'd gotten out of my last detox on March the 23rd of 2020, right as the world shut down, right at the beginning of COVID. And
which is a hard time to be navigating any major life change.
It was hard, but it gave me the space because I was living in a house with some friends that I'd met 2 years previous in a sober living. I was the guy that relapsed, that they wanted out of the house. But because of COVID, I wasn't evicted. Wow. And it gave me time to focus on myself. I found a sponsor. I worked some steps. And I got offered a job at one of those freight brokerages. And it was actually Tim's competitor.
Oh,
the kind of spinoff. But, I mean, they were all friends.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was such a great environment because, number one, it was right next door to the little place where I had to do IOP. I imagine most people listening to this podcast know that IOP is an intensive outpatient. And everybody there was in recovery. And so it was a great sense of accountability. And I did that for about 1.5 years. And I was talking to a man.
By the way, how was the freight business?
It was interesting.
Okay.
If you can do that, you can do anything.
Okay.
I learned there's certainly an honest way to do it. But I had always struggled with anger.
What?
And
Frank, you seem like the most gentle person. Oh my gosh.
When you're dealing with, a lot of people from Eastern Europe who you feel like are trying to scam you, and they're never on time for anything. Let's just say about every other word out of my mouth was a cuss word, right?
What?
And
I am dead. I have no idea.
And
now I feel like I can let a little loose here, Frank.
So I was good at it.
On my
I was
best
good
behavior.
at it, and I made some money. But at the end of the day, I knew it's not where I
Yeah,
wanted
you
to
just
stay.
wanted something different.
Yeah. So I was talking to a friend of mine who's a very wealthy individual, and I knew him through political fundraising.
Okay.
And one day he said, Frank, have you ever thought about working at the Lovelady Center? And I said, well, I'm not even real sure where it is. I said, I used to shop at their thrift store, and I know it's a bunch of women in recovery somewhere. And I do remember thinking one time while I was shopping there, if I could ever get my act together, that might be a cool place to help. He said, well, it seems to me you have your act together. And so he introduced me to the chairman of the board, who the next day introduced me to the founder.
Were they looking for a development director at that point, or was it just, I would say serendipity, you would probably say Jesus. But like, what were they looking for somebody?
Yes and no. I knew the development director. He was an old fraternity brother and friend. And
dude, everybody knows everybody here.
That's wild. Right. That's okay. Right. The South is a small world.
It is. I have to really be careful what I say a lot of times. Okay.
And so, yeah, they were looking to expand the role and their mission a little bit. And, I sat down with Miss Brenda, who her reputation kind of preceded herself. I remember calling my aunt, who had a lot of experience in nonprofits. In fact, she started the nonprofit, or the Alabama Association of Nonprofits.
Oh, no way.
She had written textbooks on them, taught at Birmingham Southern. And I remember her warning me. She's like, if you go work at that Lovelady Center, you're going to have to put up with that old crazy Miss Brenda. Well, I met that crazy Miss Brenda, and I grew to know her and love her. And, she heard my story. And she said, well, Frank, you've had some interesting experiences. I can tell you're an effective fundraiser, but have you burned bridges? And I said, yes, ma'am, I have, but I'm working on repairing all of them. And she said, that's the right answer. When can you start?
Wow.
And, that was a little over 4 years ago. So today it's kind of the honor of my life to not only tell her story, but to tell the story of the now more than 560 women we have in-house, and more than 120 of their children.
And also during this time, you've gotten hitched, right? And you have a kiddo.
Yes.
So your life is like really full, and it seems like there's been quite an evolution of Mr. Frank, is what it seems like.
Well, I'm just constantly amazed, because I just get to see just how blind I was, how wrong I was on the whole God question. And today my life is so full. I met my wife, Nikki, in the rooms of recovery. Well, actually, that's a misnomer. I did not see her in the room because it was a packed room. The room had just opened up after COVID. But I saw her at the Mexican restaurant that evening afterwards, and we hit it off. Of course, this was on the day that I had declared to a friend that I was done with women. I was going to focus.
Isn't that how it always
focus
is?
on myself.
That's how it always is.
But then we were brought together, and so yeah, we got married a little over 2 years ago. We have a house in Bluff Park,
Congratulations,
and a wonderful, beautiful daughter. Her name is Reese, and she is just my pride and joy. She's a little over 9 months, and life is good.
You really seem to love your job.
I do.
Like it comes out of your pores, right? And seeing you at Lovelady, telling the stories, giving the story behind the story. I mean, it really, the whole time I just kept going, this is incredible. And you said 560
women
560 women
today.
And then their children?
Their children. And then we also run an aftercare. We also have 180 employees.
Okay. You are, and I feel like I even said this a couple of times when I was on the tour. You're like a city in a city.
Yes.
Like you are, I mean, you have schools, transportation, food. What's the stat you said about how many meals that you all?
So it's 1,950 meals a day.
That is wild.
Yeah.
That is wild.
So over 600,000 meals annually in-house. Now our food bank across the street feeds the homeless every day, and then on Wednesdays gives out about I think it's now 350 boxes of food per week.
Did you know this? Isn't that insane? So I'm bringing in. So Ronnie is many times he's a guest, even though no one actually sees his face. But that is nuts.
That's wild. Yeah.
So when SNAP was potentially being, pulled away, that was really going to hit you all significantly, correct?
Well, it was. People don't realize that in Alabama and the same in most states, the way most recovery places that are 90 days or longer feed their participants or their clients or their students or whatever they call them is through the SNAP program. And that's kind of the way it's designed. Because, you surrender your card when you're there so the organization can swipe it, and then you're given a voucher instead. And so that was going to be devastating.
Devastating.
Yeah.
Okay, I need you to tell everybody about the hair stuff and the dental stuff.
Okay.
With your stories,
Well,
because be
first
my
of all-
dancing monkey and tell those two stories.
First off, I'm so honored to be here to be the first guest of season 2, and I'm so grateful we become friends because
kidding.
you put it in such a kind way. You said, Frank had asked me to come. No, I didn't ask. I had seen you. I think we were
true. This is true.
I think we were at the Junior League of Birmingham, and they introduced me and they said, this is this woman from St. Louis, and she's the new head of the Addiction Prevention Coalition. I was like, oh, well, then you have to come see me. When are you coming? And then I saw her like a couple weeks later. I was like, you haven't called me. When are you coming?
This is true.
I just felt
You're a very good fundraiser, Frank.
I just felt it was very important.
It was very important.
In your role, because you're a connector to all the resources, all the services, just like Recovery Resource and the Crisis Center and people doing so much good work to see what we do because, like you described it, it is a city within a city.
I couldn't get over it.
Yeah. So like on top of the program itself, which is, comprehensive, we got, 5 different pillars where you have to earn credit hours. And those are, class credits, education credits, health credits, parenting credits, and job readiness credits. You mentioned we have a salon, which I'll show you pictures before I leave because the school, we're changing the salon from just a salon where the ladies can get their hair and nails done for free into a beauty school. And that's going to be a 9-month, 1,500-hour apprenticeship.
That's just amazing
Opportunity. And then
so that when the women leave, they can leave with like real hard skills.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. They're cosmetology licensed to cut hair. We're also close to completing the culinary school.
No way. That's cool.
And then we partner with Tune Up over in Titusville to do an auto mechanic school. And pretty soon, or we may eventually have that on site because we have a lift that services our 24 vehicles.
Yeah, 24 vehicles,
Yes,
right. That's
because
a fleet.
we drive 28,000 miles per week. So
28,000 miles per week. And that's a lot of times you're like helping pick people up or drive people for all hosts of different reasons.
to and from pretty much everywhere. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I tell people we're in a minimum of 5 counties, and that's not just across the state of Alabama.
Right.
So that's not just Baldwin to Madison. Sometimes that's as far as Texas or as far as West Virginia. In rare instances, we'll pick up women who are fleeing domestic violence, especially if they have children with them. But oftentimes, Child Protective Services and drug courts still want to see you face to face, and they will not offer you a Zoom option. Doesn't matter what state you're in. So we take them where they need to go.
And so I want to make sure that we really hit on this because, like, there are, I mean, I'm going to say this and it's going to sound very clunky, but like it's a commitment to go to Lovelady, right? Like it ain't for everybody.
Sure.
Okay. So there's the education piece. There's also like I would say service piece. And then there's the faith piece, right? So like you have to like want to go there. Right?
Yeah,
I don't know how to say it in a nicer way, but like it's a commitment.
That's a fair way to put it. I mean, you've got to be willing to go somewhere long term and do something different because, I mean, the shortest amount of time you can earn all the credit hours and graduate is 9 months.
Right. I mean, that is a significant investment of time.
And so we know what we do better than most. And I don't say that.
No, brag on yourself.
Well, our executive director, Melinda, will tell you that's all I do is just brag about how great it is. Well, it is great, and I do want everybody to come see it. But, SAMHSA, the organization that studies these things, says if you have people long-term, their success rate, however that's measured, is higher. And so just having them long-term, we know that we have a better chance for success. Now, sadly, though, only, and I should know this rate, only 30-something% of those who come through the first time will actually graduate. Now, it goes up into the high 50s for those coming back who finish. And I do like that we accept people more than once.
Love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And when you walk in to Lovelady, well, when you go into like the office, you can see like the list of names on the board of like, because you have quite a waiting list.
We've had, on average, 7 applications every day for over the last 2,000 days.
That
without fail.
Right? Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
That is wild.
And it's showing no signs of slowing down.
Which, on one hand, sucks.
It does
right?
suck.
Because it means like we're not moving the needle. On the other hand, if you are a glass half full type of person, it's like, okay, these are people reaching out for treatment. These are people who are wanting to come in and really, do what they have to do. This means that there's more referrals and that more people are able to recognize that they have, an unhealthy relationship with drugs. But holy cow, we're not retiring anytime soon, Frank.
Yeah, but one of the most encouraging aspects, because, oftentimes, drug addicts don't realize they're craving structure. And I get that a lot of people are not using that terminology anymore. And look, that's fair. We don't use it.
Structure? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, drug addicts. We don't use that at Lovelady because we believe speaking life into them. But I use that because I like to remember where I came from.
Well, and also if you're fundraising and you're talking to like the average person.
Sure.
Not everybody is going to even understand what substance use disorder is.
Correct.
So like you do have to adapt.
Sure.
So,
and you have to know your audience.
You have to know your audience, right?
But so they do really well
with structure.
With structure. A house full of rules. But when they graduate and they go from all rules to no rules.
Oh, that's hard.
They may know the Lord. They may think they're ready. But oftentimes hard stuff happens and the real world slaps you in the face. And when you're coming out of, 20 years of substance use disorder, you're not going to get out of the woods in 17 days or sometimes even 6 months or 9 months. Your brain is still repairing it yourself. And then you go through something tough like the loss of a loved one or
for sure.
Or rejection of, maybe a new relationship. What do you go to? You go to what you know. And if your solution most of your life has been drugs and alcohol, that's oftentimes where you run and find comfort or escape. And so the encouraging thing is so many people are wanting to stay in our aftercare program.
That's awesome.
And stay plugged up. The discouraging piece was that about 130 of them were living in our building, and they were taking up space for people on that wait list. But we've wrapped up a capital campaign, which has allowed us to purchase the first of 2 apartment complexes, and we are in negotiations now for another complex to keep those ladies close to the center where they can use our resources, our transportation till they have transportation, our daycare if they need it. and they have affordable housing and more soft and hard skill training.
Wow. I want to touch on the kid piece because I don't know. I mean, if you've been in it, you know how hard it is. But if you've never been in it, it is. And if you're a mom, it's really difficult to find a place, a treatment facility that will take kids and that has not just like a couple of puzzles in the room for like the kids to play, but like it really feels like your kids are welcome, right? And when you walk into Lovelady, oh man, you can feel the kids like it. And then, I mean, even looking at some of the like the daycare rooms and the schools and the like, I mean, it's a place where like kids like they feel like they belong.
And they do. And it almost sounds like a misnomer. I can understand why that judge sitting down there in Claiborne County or wherever, has this perception that kids do not belong at a drug rehab.
Yeah, and I get that mentality on some level.
And he'd be right, but he needs to come see us because we are so much more than a drug rehab. We are a whole way house. And a
whole way house.
And
that's cool.
Here's the deal on that. We never intended to have children either. In fact, Miss Brenda said we're not doing it.
Interesting.
But
well, yeah, because that's a whole host of other services and liabilities and all that kind of stuff.
Miss Brenda's biggest, brilliance was she would see a need and she'd meet the need.
Right.
It started with teeth. These women that came to her home were all missing teeth or had terrible teeth because it's not just the drugs.
Right.
Many of our women haven't had insurance in a long time. So she used to buy them all teeth. Well, when we moved from her home to where we are now, it was either pay the $50,000 power bill or the teeth. So the teeth were out. Mm-hmm. Well, the teeth are back in a major way. Because now at our dental clinic, we have a new printer and scanner that actually prints dentures in-house. And so to restore somebody's smile is to restore their confidence. But back to the children.
And aren't you like it? Maybe I'm misspeaking, but isn't that also one of the technical skills that your clients can leave with is some dental?
Yeah. So we have a CODA accredited dental clinic, and that means it's
so cool.
It's a teaching site for dentists going through dental school. But we also have a dental assisting program where you can work under our hygienist and our volunteer dentist. And we also now have a tech program where you can learn how to print those dentures.
When I taught, I was a middle school teacher, and my students, and it was in a pretty underserved community in southern Louisiana, and my students would have such terrible teeth issues, and they would have just toothaches, and they would have, and like it would like they couldn't concentrate, they couldn't focus, they'd be going trying to go to the nurse all the time, like their breath would smell horrible, they couldn't eat, like and I know that there are services called like Give Kids a Smile and things like that are really great. The fact that you have it in-house is so incredibly amazing, like for both the moms and for the kiddos. That's just incredible.
Yeah, and we never run out of clients. I mean, there's always like 20.
Well, you can't with 560 women there, plus all their kids. Right. Oh my gosh, the Tooth Fairy's making a lot of visits there. Holy cow!
But one summer, I don't know if women were putting pressure on Brenda to have visits and just overnight stays or what.
Kids.
But she gave somebody
keeping me on track.
Yeah, she gave somebody permission and
to bring their kiddos.
Yeah, and she says she looked up about 2 weeks later and there was like 25 or 30 kids and they never left. And so, what we figured is, if these women have such good structure in a program, these kids need the same thing. So now we operate what we call the Kids Zone Daycare. We have over 90 enrolled from 6 weeks old to 4 years old. About 75 attend every day. About half of those live in the building with their mother, and the other half are graduates who pick up and drop off. And since we're in an old hospital, the old emergency room works perfect for pickup, drop off. We meet or exceed DHR standards. The classrooms are split up by age. We have sensory rooms. We have the Bright Wheel curriculum. We work with Mitchell's Place. So the Kids Zone is great. And then our older children, 71 of them get bused to Miracle Academy each and every day. And when they get off of school, we have a teen room to hang out. We have a youth pastor. We have an after-school area that includes a rock wall.
Oh, yeah, that's very cool.
Art room, Xboxes and PlayStations, and we've just built, structure around these things.
Most people, whether you have used drugs or not, people like structure.
Sure.
I mean, structure it's like the S word that nobody likes to talk about, but, well, one of them. However, people like structure. They do. And they like guardrails. Like, you like going bowling and having the bumpers and knowing, like, kind of like where you can go and where you can't. People like that. So I think it's just really amazing what you all are doing. You are a masterful storyteller. So I would love for you to pick a person, a graduate, a story, and this is how I would like to end it if you're okay with this, because you're just so good at telling. I need to get better at this. So tell us a story.
That's good, because that's all I do each and every day. And when I'm at the center, they just come to me.
You're like, see this?
They come.
See this?
They
See
come
this picture
flooding
here?
in.
See
Okay,
this?
I've got one.
Okay,
So,
tell us a story
all
about.
right, there is a woman. Her name is Jocelyn James, and Jocelyn, she's probably about my age. And Jocelyn,
so young. She's young.
That's
We're
right.
young,
That's
Frank.
right. That's
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
And so she lives in Russellville,
Okay.
Alabama. And I talked to her on a Zoom call actually last week because she has started her own ministry. I'm going to say on the side. There's no such thing as ministry on the side. Ministry envelops you. You have to be passionate, just like you being a teacher. And now here, it's because you're passionate about helping people. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Jocelyn's the same way, but she still maintains her full-time job at the hospital.
Which is also helping and a ministry in and of itself.
So her new ministry is called Place of Grace.
Okay.
And it is a home like Lovelady, except, a lot smaller, to help women restore their life. But the story that's so compelling, Jocelyn went through Lovelady, I'm really not sure what year, probably more than 10 years ago.
Okay.
And she came to know the Lord, and I don't know if she knew the Lord before she got to Lovelady or was radically changed and came out with a different personal relationship or not. I'll have to ask her. But she was making amends with people from her past, including a police officer that had arrested her 3 times. Mm. So they stayed in close contact, and this police officer started going through health issues and needed a kidney. Well, it just so happened Jocelyn was a match, and she gave her kidney to her arresting officer. Now, her picture is on a before and after wall at the center we call Prisoner to Princess. So I get to point at her picture and talk about that every day. But since I've gotten to know her when she did our podcast, and we've kept in touch since, it kind of made it real. And it's saying that story out loud. It's just unbelievable.
It is
People
unbelievable.
are like, she gave her kidney.
Yeah, it's like a
to
Lifetime
her
movie. We need
officer.
a movie about this.
Yeah, and so stories like that I get to see. I have a front row seat to see how God is transforming lives, and there is story after story after story like that just would move you to tears. So at this kind of conclusion of my Lovelady commercial.
Yes.
If you've never seen the city within the city, you have to come see me. I love giving tours, telling stories, and it'll be something you never forget, and you can find out how to get plugged in and how to volunteer because it will personally change you.
Mm-hmm.
and I want you to come see us.
And there's a lot of ways for people to tap in.
Oh,
You
yeah.
think about all of the moms and the kids, and it doesn't have to just happen around the holidays.
Sure.
Like there are a lot of opportunities for people to tap in. And
We need volunteers every day of
Yeah.
the year. In fact, we couldn't operate without them. That's who teaches our classes. It's where the dentists come from. It's where people just come to love on our women and serve meals. There's just so many opportunities.
Frank, I am so excited that you said yes. I didn't have to pester you nearly as much as you pestered me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm really happy though that you said yes and that we've become friends. We are both Children's Trust Fund grantees.
We are.
And so really appreciative of their support and really thank you. Thank you for being here. If you like what you heard, and I know you did, please consider rating, reviewing, and subscribing. Tell a friend about the Shield because that's how we can continue having these wonderful conversations. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.